We've noted already how John Wheeler's concept of it from bit highlighted upon how it is from information, the bit aspect, that physical reality, the it aspect, comes to be constructed. We discussed this in terms of how Wheeler believed in the participatory universe, where observers create reality via observation, collapsing the superposition uncertainty, what Wheeler called the great smoky dragon of the wave function, into a definitive state. We further related this to the holographic principle in physics, where our very 3D universe may just be an end result of the information that is encoded onto a 2D surface. We specifically showed in our second physics video a simple derivation of the Bekenstein-Hawking formula, which noted how the entropy of a black hole is based on the surface area of the black hole itself. Thus, since information and entropy is tied to a 2D surface, the surface area, as opposed to its volume, which would be three-dimensional, it is believed that our 3D existence is really encoded on a lower dimensional boundary, i.e. a 2D surface area. Thus, to physicists like Leonard Susskind, the 3D world we occupy is but a hologram, an image of reality that is coded on a 2D surface, akin to how all information can be contained on the surface of a black hole's event horizon. This holographic principle is also an example of ADS/CFT, or anti-de Sitter/conformal field theory correspondence, which shows how gravity, operating at a higher dimension, or ADS, in spacetime can be described on an unchanging or invariant quantum field theory CFT boundary with a lower dimension. In short, it allows us to map higher dimensions to lower ones like 3D to 2D, which is of course quite alchemic, linking macro with micro or above with below. We explained previously how Ludwig Boltzmann's theory on entropy was a statistical way to explain the second law of thermodynamics, where S equaled k log W, where k was Boltzmann's constant and where W was the number of microstates. An increase in microstates would thus lead to an increase in entropy, adhering to the second law of thermodynamics, which states that entropy, or the amount of disorder, in an isolated system will increase over time, highlighting upon how things tend to move in a linear fashion from more ordered states to more disordered ones. We tied this to Nick Land and the deterritorialization process, which would produce more microstates or disorder or Deleuzian deorganization over time via the body without organs. It was Claude Shannon who showed that entropy itself could be measured in bits of information. This means that information is something that can be measured quantitatively with a specific physical quantity. The entropy would just then be the average amount of information in the system after every outcome, including uncertainty, has been considered so as to successfully encode a message from some source. John von Neumann would develop his own mathematics of how entropy functioned at the quantum level, seen as being comparable to Shannon's, which was successful at quantifying the uncertainty of a quantum state. Thus, rather than dealing with bits, we begin dealing with qubits, or quantum bits, seeing how many qubits are needed to store information, which, needless to say, is critical in the realm of quantum computing. Karl Popper viewed science as the linear pursuit of truth, reliant upon falsifiability, meaning that whatever theory one comes up with must be met with experimentation so as to determine if it can be proven false. If science gets to a point that it cannot be proven false, then it adheres to the statement that is often attributed to Wolfgang Pauli, which is when something is, quote, not even wrong, meaning that since it cannot even be proven false via experimentation or observation, then it ceases to be considered science. Since it cannot be proven wrong, then it is, quote, not even wrong. Opposing Popper was Thomas Kuhn, who noted that science does not linearly progress towards any form of absolute truth, but rather it operates through what he calls paradigm shifts, where one dominant mode of thinking or pattern of thought, a paradigm, is replaced by a new revolutionary paradigm. To Kuhn, this leads to incommensurability. Incommensurability simply means that since separate paradigms bring with them such different ways of conceptually thinking or operating, they cannot be compared or measured by a shared or universal standard. Hence why, as we stated earlier, science is not a linear pursuit of truth with a capital T. Rather, it involves a fundamental shift in perspective and human perception itself, at least to Kuhn. The most common example we can note is the difference between thinkers like Newton and Einstein in terms of time, where Newton's time is more absolute, whereas Einstein's time remains relative. This can further be expounded upon when looking to physics' current problem of attempting to unify gravity with the standard model, i.e., Einstein's general relativity with the quantum world. One often wonders if string theory will develop a theory of everything, successfully incorporating the graviton in with the standard model. Unfortunately, man does not yet have the technology, as we noted in our prior physics video, to experimentally test string theory predictions. As we noted, testing would require energy that currently surpasses what particle accelerators today are capable of. As noted with Heidegger, techne can reveal things to us. Similarly, as we brought up with Deleuze and cinema, the moving images of cinema, produced thanks to the technology of the film recorder, has since altered our perspective and challenged previously established knowledge so as to allow us to operate in a realm of Bergsonian duration, allowing us to become something other than what we once were. Thus, we see the debate between Popper and Kuhn emerge yet again based on our current limits of technology and testability. Do we rely on falsifiability or relative paradigm shifts to describe reality? And from this, what will it mean to do actual science in the forthcoming future when we do not yet have the technology to successfully conduct the experiments needed for sake of falsifiability? Perhaps it's such a state as Pauly noted, we have approached a point where we are not even wrong about anything and everything. And so, how can one be right when they are not even wrong?